Thank you so much, Michelle. Yes, rain is on the way. In terms of the timing of it, for Toronto, we can expect it to happen by the afternoon. Certainly the drive home will likely be a rainy one, and we're going to be seeing, and it's going to help to melt some more of that snow, isn't it? A look ahead to this evening. So there is the low pressure system. It stays mostly just along the St. Lawrence Seaway. In some cases, there are some rainfall warnings in place along the St. Lawrence down toward, say, Quebec City and down toward Montreal and portions of southeast Ontario. But largely, we're going to be looking at that rain moving off into the Atlantic provinces and then another low coming up behind it. Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, the low pressure system is actually coming in from the U.S., and as it progresses up, we are going to be seeing the low tracking pretty much along the St. Lawrence Seaway and into Atlantic Canada, and then progressively off into the Atlantic Ocean after that. Then we have another low that comes in more so from the prairies, so we'll be watching that as we head later in the week, but then high pressure will build in. What does it mean, this latest round of wet weather, in terms of amounts? Well, around the lower lakes, it's going to be between 15 and, say, 30 plus millimeters of rain, depending where you are. And then further north toward Barrie, we would see a little bit less in the amount of rainfall. However, we also may possibly in the Haliburton Highlands, for example, around Algonquin Park, see some snowfall, possibly 5 to 10 centimeters. I know we'd like to think that we're through with winter weather, but not all areas of southern Ontario are through the snow quite yet. I'll explain in a moment. Let's take a look at our short-term forecast. Don't worry. Lakes, at least, the potential of between 15 and 30 plus millimeters of rain. There are some rainfall warnings in southeast Ontario as well as Montreal toward Quebec City. As we head north, though, that's when things become a little bit more dicey because Barrie is expecting to see some showers from this, some rainfall. But look how you're just on the line, basically, between the freezing, the winter precipitation, and the rain. But look at this. Up into the Haliburton Highlands, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, not out of the realm of possibility as this low pressure system comes through with cooler temperatures there, and also in the Dundalk Highlands, 2 to 5 centimeters of snow. Let's quickly take a look at our 7-day forecast. We see the temperatures getting to 15 by Thursday. Thank you so much, Michelle. And I think a lot of people are beginning to think about boating and summer activities. We're getting closer. At least we're going to be seeing a 15-degree value this week. Now, this past weekend, wasn't all that bad, was it? I mean, there and doing spring-like activities because we just can't wait any longer, frankly. Let's take a look at what we are expecting. We're expecting spring-like weather with this low from the U.S. It is going to be bringing mostly rain with it. The track of the low moves off into pretty much along the St. Lawrence Seaway and then up into the Labrador area and then passing through the Atlantic provinces. However, we do have another low on tap by the end of the week. For the time being, though, we'll watch for that high pressure to build in by about Thursday. Temperatures hitting in the mid-teens, but for the time being, rainfall will develop in Toronto by the afternoon and more so Ottawa and Montreal for the evening. 15 to 30 millimeters plus in some cases, especially for the eastern townships, the eastern townships, Montreal and down into southeast Ontario. Barrie's right on the line between the rain and the snow. We would likely see wet snow, probably no more than 2 centimeters. But notice this, I know your eye's drawn to this, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow quite possible in the Haliburton Highlands, the Dundalk Highlands of Midwestern Ontario, also set to see a little bit of snow accumulation, and there's your 15-degree reading. Rainfall on the way. It will develop in Toronto by the afternoon. The drive home will be a rainy one, and we're expecting quite a bit of rainfall. I'll show you some of the amounts in just a moment. Let's take a look, though, at this past weekend, and it'll be a chilly one overnight, feeling like -1. This low pressure track is moving right along the St. Lawrence, and with that, there are some rainfall warnings around Montreal, Quebec City, and eastern Ontario. Off it goes into the Atlantic, and then we see our high pressure building in for the last part of the week, and that's when the temperatures will likely be rising significantly. For the time being, staying a little cooler with our rainfall, 5 to 30 millimeters plus in some cases. Barrie is pretty much right on the line of between rain and snowfall, and we are going to be seeing possibly some wet snow. So the travel, you'll start things off with maybe a bit of wet snow in Barrie and then end up with rain in Toronto. Haliburton Highlands, 5 to 10 centimeters of snow possible. Up into the Mount Forest area, 2 to 5 centimeters due to those areas being just slightly higher in elevation. And then the temperatures are warming. Look at this by the end of the week. Thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, definitely tracking our low pressure system that's going to be putting a lot of rainfall over Lake Ontario as we head through the next, say, 12 to 18 hours. Let's take a look at our short-term forecast and what we can expect in Toronto. Overnight 4 will feel like -1. The track of the low moves off into Atlantic Canada, mostly with rainfall, and then up into Labrador and off into the North Atlantic. Then we have high pressure building in, and then we see the temperatures rebounding into the, well, Thursday's temperatures, mid-teens. So we'll see certainly some warmer spring-like weather by the end of the week. Rainfall forecast today through Tuesday, 15 to 30 millimeters, more so in the lower lakes. But as you head north, why are the totals less? Well, it's one, in part because of the track of the low, but two, because there will also be some cooler temperatures and some snowfall. So if you're in Barrie and Orillia, less than 2 centimeters of snow. The Haliburton Highlands and the Dundalk Highlands are essentially areas that are slightly higher in elevation and have better chance of picking up actual snowfall. 5 to 10 centimeters being the very high end around Algonquin Park. 7-day forecast for Toronto. There's your 15 on Thursday.